Hey, so guys, Rockskull here. As a lot of you know, we had our trial weekend for the new tank hero, Hazard, so we could test all of his abilities. Alongside this, we got a bunch of lore drops, and as the lore boy, this is of course what we'll be going over today. We'll first start with the comic that dropped, going over his younger years. Hazard seemed to grow up in an urban area in Scotland, and also seemed to have a bit of a rough childhood. He was often bullied in school, and his parents argued often. The family barely got by, as you can tell from the living conditions, and barely got food on the table from the OVA. He ended up losing his mother when he was only 4, and decided at some point that he would leave his home for the military. He was hoping it was going to be some way out of his rough life, and for some time it was. Unfortunately for him, he was casually walking with his dog in the wrong place at the wrong time. An Overwatch aircraft seemed to be shot down by a Talon one right above him, and it landed right where he was walking. Talk about unlucky. At least Doggo didn't get hit. The days in the hospital afterwards were rough. They told him he was lucky to be alive, but he was in major pain constantly. He lost the bottom half of his 2 legs and a whole arm, yet they only gave him the most basic cybernetics. Even with them giving him meds, and a monthly check on top of this, Hazard was not happy with the outcome. This was mainly due to the fact that Overwatch didn't seem to care why it happened at the time. This, on top of everything that happened in his past, led him to grow a deep hatred for everything in what he calls the system. A group called the Freaks shared a similar ideology, and were the only ones Hazard thought actually cared. As soon as he shows up to their hideout, he meets an Omnic called Revel. His career Revel is a Ravager Omnic similar to Ramatra, which were a group of Omnics that were driven to near extinction during the first Omnic crisis. Freaks seem to welcome Hazard in immediately, and another freak called Touch Up gives him some major upgrades to his cybernetics. It is illegal technology, but it finally gets rid of his pain, physical and mental. He found family within the Freaks afterwards, with 3 others getting introduced here: Boomslang, Jackdaw, and Susanna. Together they work towards breaking the system that broke them all, with what seems to be at any means necessary. Things seem to go wrong at a research facility in Morocco, though, as they were all thwarted on their attack. Oasis Scientific Collective seems to be the reason this happened, so they become the Freaks' next target. Specifically, they target one of the place's most valuable aspects, as we know from the emails, the vanadium. Touch Up believes this can be utilized as a weapon if they can get their hands on it, and she gives Hazard some upgrades that prepare his cybernetics for it. Now we get to the animation where this all seemed to go down. Hazard, Susanna, and Boomslang raid Oasis together. The place seemed to be guarded by a lot of Helix members at first, which they clear out, and then once inside, Susanna hacks the security system the place has. Hazard begins collecting it, but then the alarm blares. Helix storms in the building and is quickly overwhelming the Freaks. Hazard makes the decision to have Susanna inject him with the vanadium to give them a better chance to clear Helix. With his new purple crystal powers, and the Helix soldiers' god-awful aim, the Freaks escape with the vanadium sample. This brings us to what Hazard looks like in-game, and his abilities, which all have to do with those purple crystals. He didn't get any direct interactions in the hero trial, but he does have some things he says when he kills specific people. As expected, he seems to hate all the big groups and organizations, calling Doomfist and Ramatra tyrants.
Every tyrant's got to fall. Every tyrant's got to fall.
And saying he would never work for Overwatch.
I'd never work with the likes of you.
The only hero he seems to have some sort of liking for is Lifeweaver, who he considers a fellow rebel.
Ought to ride with me next time, lad. Shame taking out a fellow rebel.
This is pretty much all we got from the hero trial when it comes to Hazard lore. I'm sure we'll get more when the hero actually releases on season 14, but I definitely felt this was all significant enough to speak about at least. Now I want to get into my thoughts of this hero's lore and overall visual design. I won't be delving into gameplay much here, as it's not really what this video is about, but if you're curious, I think the gameplay is pretty good, even though I suck at them. Anyways, when it comes to this overall hero visual design and lore, it's not bad, but it's hard for me to not be a little disappointed about it all with everything we had leading up to this. If you didn't already, all the way at BlizzCon 2023, we got a little portrait teaser for this hero. It was hard to make it out, but to most people at the time, including myself, it looked like some animalistic dude with green spikes on his back. Then at the start of Season 13, we got a bunch of teasers for the hero, with the main ones being in one of the Oasis University spawn rooms. Pretty much the place with the big spiky ball in the middle got wrecked, and the spiky ball got stolen. There's a bunch of graffiti everywhere that says it was from a group called Freaks, with a bunch of animalistic graffiti beside it. The graffiti also stated things like, "You can't hold us," and "Free the Freaks." On top of this, we also got a lot of information on what the spiky ball actually was from emails in the room. And to sum it all up, it was an isotope of vanadium Moira decided to keep for herself to experiment with. But for me and a lot of other lore theorizers at the time, we thought this was going to be some kind of animalistic mutant hero with all this stuff. The common animalistic graffiti designs, Moira doing wacky experiments with the vanadium, a lot of the text saying things like "Free the Freaks" and "You can't hold us," showing some possible rebellion against Moira's experiments, and that portrait at BlizzCon having an animalistic design to it. I did think of the slight possibility of it just being the average rebellious group, with what we saw for the Freaks in that original Overwatch trailer, but it felt a little too basic to actually be the case for me. Unfortunately, it seems that it is pretty much what this group is. I guess guess maybe I set my expectations too high, expecting some rebellious animal mutant squad that were failed experiments. I kind of get not going that route, as we already have multiple goofy Moira experience in the game already. Although, in my opinion, the freaks as a concept are a bit generic in nature to me. At the end of the day, the group is just a bunch of rebellious people and omnics who really like cybernetics. The thing is that we already have so many heroes with cybernetics in the game, like Cassidy, Genji, Junkrat, Sojourn, and Torb, just to name a few. We also have the rebellious group thing too, with the Deadlock Rebels and the Junkers. The members of the group do seem pretty cool to me though, with Revel being the second only known Ravager omnic we know about, and Boomslang having some pretty sick hair. When it comes to Hazard's visual design, it definitely makes sense gameplay wise, but lore-wise, I was still hoping for something a bit better. The name Hazard doesn't make complete sense to me either, as it's not like he injected himself with radiation. If he had a mutant design, this would make a bit more sense to me. With what we saw at BlizzCon compared to what we have now, it seems like this hero went through quite a bit of development changes. From the color changes, and now a design that is a lot more human compared to whatever that was. I do like Hazard's lore for the most part at least, as it gives a solid reason for why he turned into what he is. Someone who got bullied, was with a family that was barely scraping by, and the last straw happening when he got injured and the why not getting helped out with. The only thing I found kinda silly is that it was a shot down Overwatch jet that happened to land right where he was walking that caused his major injuries. But we'll roll with it, he's got a cute dog. So I gotta say that animation was a mixed bag too, with models in the background that are clearly 2D while Hazard is 3D, and guards with some classic Stormtrooper aim on the biggest guy in the room. It feels like the animation team, as always, wasn't given a ton to work with here for the lore stuff. The colors, glow of certain things, and the music I am a fan of though. That's going to conclude the summary of Hazard's lore, alongside my thoughts. Before this video ends, though, I just wanted to let you all know that this coming up Sunday on December 1st, I'll be doing a charity livestream here on YouTube to celebrate the month of giving. As the top 1 lizard fan, I've always loved animals and nature. So this time around, we will be supporting the Nature Conservancy, which is a non-profit organization that does multiple things to combat climate change, protect our natural land and water areas, and provide food to those who need it while keeping it sustainable. The stream will be starting around 6 AM CST and lasting until 6 PM CST. Stop by and donate if you can, but even if you can't then, all videos uploaded in December will be providing a donation link at the top of the description you can still go to. Thank you all for the support as always, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.
Rock skull. All he wants to do is stream all night. Lobby full, rock skull. Never gonna play with me, but it's alright.